Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. Well, I'm in the village of Harpley this morning. Lovely little Norfolk village, and I've got the local pub behind me, the Rose and Crown. Going to sample something to eat there, I think, later on. In the meantime, we'll have a quick look around the village. We've just walked up to St Lawrence Church in the lovely village of Harpley. Let's go inside, and it's quite a large church to me. Got the large fence doors to stop the pigeons from nesting in the porch. And we go for a lovely door that leads us into the main part of the church. Look at that. That's quite large for a small village church. Lovely stained glass window. Well, we've just had a lovely meal at the Rose and Crown here in Harpley. It's a lovely little pub and great food too, and I would recommend it, definitely. I love the colours of the parasols. In fact, that's inspired me to paint and line and wash study of this lovely old pub. Well, this morning we visited the lovely village of Harpley on the centre of Norfolk, North Norfolk really, and we had a lovely meal in the Rose and Crown pub, and decided that afterwards I'd create a little line drawing of the subject. So now I'm back at my accommodation, decided that I'd like to put a bit of colour on. So what I'm going to do, it's only a line and wash, so it should come up fairly quickly. We want to put in some basic blue sky, and there is some tree work around the back, but let's get in the basic blue sky to start with. And the good thing about a line and wash, the actual lining depicts the shape of everything, so you don't have to be quite as precise when you paint around everything. So there's a nice blue sky that is Windsor blue, like that, and then I'm going to work my way down there. And it's nice to have blues. Red pantar roofing as we get here in Norfolk, so that's always a nice thing to paint. A lovely red tar roofing that you get on these lovely old buildings. And working onto ordinary watercolour paper here, not a sketching pad, so that should flow fairly well. There we go, it's drying fairly quickly, but let's bring that down to there, over to there, around the top. Just pull that through. Now we do have some colour in the background, and I'm going to put in some burnt sienna into that blue to create a nice sort of warm green colour, warm grey I suppose, because these trees were it's spring. We've not got the leafing yet to any great extent, so I've decided to render them in this way. That's it, and a little bit on the back there. Then we'll have just a little up there, like that. That's it. And we do have some over the back too, that they're quite dark. So let's get those in as well. These are the background trees really. Hopefully they'll make the building shine out in clear relief. And I'll put them in wet into wet, so we've got no problems with them creating any hard edges that attract the eye when we come to finish them off, to paint the buildings and that. So there you go. I'm just lifting off a bit of colour. I like painting at this sort of angle. Not ideal, but it's good enough for me. Okay, now while that's drying, I'm going to put some colour into the foreground, give the building something to sit on before we go too far. So I'm using a little bit of raw sienna in with that that blue, a bit more raw sienna going in now, trying to get this gravel. We've got gravel, sort of like a pea shingle affair on the drive in the car park area, and that's what I'm trying to depict. Just trying to leave one or two little patches here and there, and to give that bit of warmth, a bit of light red here and there. If I can just pick up some, not quite got enough there, there we go, a little bit of light red into that, that's better. There you are. If you're going to pick up colour, you need to put it in. You know, there's no sense in messing around. If you want a bit of red, put red in. Don't make it too weak. Right, now with this light red, I'm going to paint in the roof. And I'm using burnt sienna as well, light red and burnt sienna, because the roof area is lovely pan tiles. And I'm going to paint the roof down like that in sections, because I want to give that impression of pan tiles without actually painting every single one in, because that would be, well, not a disaster, but that wouldn't be what I'd be looking to, the way I'd be looking to paint these. And I'm using burnt umber now, just to stroke up, because I think that will all help to give that that effect. And a bit more red now, just painting up here and there. There we go, a bit lighter at the top, don't mind that, nice bit of light area at the top. And then I'm using the real red for the ridge tiling that I'm painting separate, if you notice, because I want that to stand out slightly separate. There we go. That seems to be working quite well. And while I have this colour, I'm going to paint in the chimney stacks there and there, as we'll paint in the shadow side as well. There we go. Look at that. That's perfect. Then I'm just going to knock that back with a bit of blue, because I don't want these ones to show up as brilliant. So they are buildings in the background that will be painted. A bit of burnt umber now for the frontage. I think that's sort of like beamed work behind there. We can balance that up at some point if we need to. There we are. So that's the distant buildings there, and good. Now the front is Windsor blue and raw sienna. That's a nice, sort of like a dull green colour. I like that. I did like that green. A bit more blue going in there, a bit more yellow. Give it a bit more body, but basically that dull green painting around the parasols and down to try and get the effect fairly clean wash of colour. Paint around the sign as well. There is also an area there, like that. So I'm painting around the sign, around the parasols and down. We can see under the parasol there. We can just about go around that one there. Lots of planting in this foreground. So I'm going to paint around those areas, a little bit underneath there, underneath the sign. That's it. Or a little bit under there as well. Bit confusing there where the sign finishes and the wall begins, but we're not too concerned about that. This to me is a study version. And of course the porch is also that same colour. Trying to paint them separately, but the shadow will show the necessary coloration there. And I believe this building at the side here is also that same colour. Well, it's going to be now, put it that way. There we go. So that's pretty much as it is, I think. Good. We must remember that comes down there, look. There we go. Forgot about that. That wall comes down there. Didn't put that in. And okay, there is some lattice work there that I'm going to paint in because that can be seen between there. Good. It's looking quite good at the moment. Now we've got some quite tall hedging here. It's quite dark, so Windsor blue and burnt umber. That's what I'm using for this section. And we're going to paint around the parasol because they will be in sharp sunlight. And then as I come down, I'm adding some cadmium yellow to that. Because I want that to be a little... There we are. And then under the parasol, there like that. And then the tops of that planting area is quite uneven. So we've got to leave that at that. And I'm going to show some planting area here as well. But other than that, a little bit more burnt. Just for the tops, we can just see a bit of uneven top. There you go. That's perfect. A bit more blue. Let's go really blue. Right in this underside there. Just feel that we need blue. There we are. Needs to be dark enough. So I will say, without the darks, you can't appreciate the lights. That's the way you get atmosphere. Okay, that's that. Now I'm picking up varying colours within those parasols. So we do have the alizarin crimson. So the alizarin crimson was more or less that section there, that section there, and we've got that section was crimson there, and that section was crimson there. The other section was like an orange. So to that crimson, I'm putting lemon yellow, because we're looking for an orange. What are we getting with that? I think so. There we go. I think we can class that as good enough orange as I can make. and that's the key to it really. Oh, hang on, that's that one there, and that one there. Yeah, let's add a bit more red to that. Large brush being used, so it's going around all over the place, but we're not too concerned with that. And then we've got a lovely blue, a bit of yellow to that too. That's it. Now add a bit of blue. Just need to finish that off there. That's it. Now some blue. I'm going to use some cobalt blue. It's a nice blue. No reason why we shouldn't use that. I like cobalt blue for these types of colours. Here we are. For parasols. And this one is a yellow. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use lemon yellow for this one. It wouldn't be quite as green as that. And it has a red with that. So that is now going to be put in with the alizarin crimson. Like that. Use the point of the brush. Like that. A little bit of light, not a bad idea. And I think that's pretty much it really. Just tidy that up a little bit. Looks a bit rough around the edges, but there you go. Not too worried about that. Okay, we're getting there with that. It's looking good. Well, I'll put in the rose and crown lettering up there. Once that dries, I'll paint around that with the darker green that the board is. Now, the framework is burnt umber. So I'm going in burnt umber, a little bit of red in there because I'm going into the palette where it's red. It's quite dark brown, but I want to depict this a little bit lighter. Don't want to be too dark. There we are, that's the first window. Very rustic. It's a lovely old building. Needs to be depicted as such. Don't want too many fussy details. Far best. Keep it simple. Keep it as you saw it. Trying to capture light, not individual details. Far better, in my opinion. Other artists will have a different opinion, but that's the way I see it anyway. Paint the way you like to paint. Get so much more enjoyment if you produce colour onto paper in the manner that you feel you saw and the manner in which you feel you like to paint. There we are, that's the windows gone in. Very simple, nothing too fussy there. Well, and while I have this colour, I'm just going to paint in the poles of the, they're already black, but paint them over again. Just added a couple of things, the roof there, chimney pots and a little bit of the roof there from the porch. But other than that, not too much additional work gone in while you were away. We're now going to paint in the foreground pots and associated greenery. Now we've got some terracotta pots. We've got one there. So let's just add a bit more light red to that. I feel light red is sort of more or less a terracotta colour. We do have another one there, I think. Where else have we got them? I think that's another one. And we do have another one standing more or less there, I think. The rest are sort of grey. And to get that grey, I'm going to clean the brush. Just add a bit of blue, ultramarine blue, to the light red. We should end up with a nice grey. There we go, look at that. Ultramarine and light red. Not too much light red, otherwise the greys, you lose the effect of grey. What have we got there? I'm not sure, that's grey as well. Another grey section there. I'll put some greenery in on the end, so we're not too worried about that. Nice grey pot. Oh, there's a grey pot there. That's it. Good. Now for the greenery. Well, I'm starting off with the yellow. Got some lovely yellow flower heads there. We do have some there on the terracotta. I'm not sure of the flowers. Not too concerned really, to be fair. All I'm really concerned with is getting further planting and light. Then we have varying greens, and that was cadmium lemon. So to get the greens, I've just added Windsor blue to that with just a little raw sienna, because I want the greens not to be too rich. And I'm putting the greens around the yellows as well to start with, and then dragging those down. Put some browns in shortly, and I'm going to do that now. A bit of burnt sienna gone in there, a bit more yellow with blue. So some nice selection of that sort of autumn sort of planting really. Nothing coming up too heavy at this stage, but a nice bit of variety nonetheless. And then we have a bit of a creeper of some sort here, coming up there. Not sure what that is. We're not concerned about that. Good. Now we have three figures. I'm going to depict one as a red, the other one as a lovely blue, and that's going to be ultramarine. There. And the other one's going to be like a green yellow. There we are. And heads, well, two are facing forward, so we're going to have just a touch of the fleshy colour, browny sort of colour there, there and there. And then we need the hair or the hat or both. So I'm using Indian red, ultramarine blue, not too much on the brush, too much water, otherwise it comes up. There we go. So that one has a cap, and that one has dark hair looking away, and that one's looking towards us. And that's as simple as that. Look at that. There's nothing more simpler than that. Now the writing for the rose and crown is dry, I'm going to put in the colour around that. And providing I keep painting around that, you will always see the rose and crown signage. That's the best way that I know of depicting that in this sort of medium. Could obviously use all sorts of techniques, but there we are, rose and crown. Just got to put a bit of yellow around that. While I have this green, I'm going to stroke in some lighter green there with some more yellowy stuff going on, just so as we can finish that piece out of picture. Bit there, just trying to get rid of too much of the white paper at this stage. There we are. Okay, now it's all very pretty, but of course once you put shadow in and other bits and pieces, tones it back, gives it shape. Let's do the windows. Now we don't want too dark colour for the glazing, and I've just said that and put in some very dark colour, so let's try and remove some paint from the brush because I don't want it to be too dark. Oh, there you go. I want some of the light to reflect on those panes of glass. See where I'm scratching across the surface, trying to get a reflection in the glass from what was a very strong sunlight today. And I think in general that's sort of worked well. Across the top, down the left, I'm darkening up, and that just gives an effect of shadow. I'm going to have the light coming from not made up my mind, I should have done. Do you know, I'm going to have the light coming from the left hand side, because I just feel that fits it really slightly. And to get shadow in, let's just put the gutter in while I have this dark colour. Nice bit of dark gutter work. Like that. And then this actually is just shadow from the downpipe because it's the same colour as the wall. And I'm going to put in shadow there and across the top because that's slightly recessed. It's a section of the wall that is recessed. Okay, now we're going to put in the main shadows, and that goes in with alizarin crimson and Windsor blue. And the way we depict that, we're going to have the shadow at a slanting angle running across there, under the gutter, to the end, there, that's it, or under the sill area and to the right, under that and down there, that's good, under that, down there. Right, chimneys, under there, down the left hand side and up the roof. Shadow on the back edge of the chimneys, back edge, under there and the back edge there like that. Nicely dropped in, nice and clean, nice and fresh, that's what we're looking for. And we're going to have, the door, let's just give that a bit more depth. That's it, a bit more depth on the windows there. Lovely, that's looking quite useful. Now, a little bit under the parasols, just to show a bit of under colour. That all helps to give that effect of shadow. Right, same colours used for this gable end, because that is completely in shadow. Like that. I'm going to leave that little lean-to at this stage because I feel that probably needs a casting shadow that would come, if it's at a bit of an angle, that would come up there like that. Right, that's the shadow there. That would be in complete shadow. And then this shadow would sort of cast across there. That's the way I would see it. Maybe even best just to paint it all in. There you go. That's better. Let's not get too fancy. There and under the sill there. That's green. Oh yeah, of course. Once we get down to this lower area, this becomes all in shadow then, but not that area there, because that's part of that sunlit area. And then we have just a bit of shadow running across the back there from that corner. Bit of shadow there. And now this is where the real good shadows come in on this planting. Now to start with, we have shadows on the box, around the lip and casting. That one there, casting. See how much shadows pull things out, sharpen everything up. Look at that. Without shadows, we don't really have form and shape. That is what I would say is the reason why painting is such a lovely thing to do, because you can form up shape. You know, the colours, the wash of colours are so easy to depict the lights and darks, if you can get what I'm saying. But anyway, just look at the techniques and then you should get an idea of, you know, use those type of techniques to produce things in your own way. It is very, very fussy, but then again, it was very fussy. Going to have a shadow over that, a bit of atmosphere. Then I'm going to use a small rigger just to tease some of this shadow together like that. Just marrying, giving a rounded feel to some of the pots which they have got, teasing that colour across, and then just drawing through, because some of these are in sunlight, some are in shadow. Once it dries, it will dry up very, very nicely. Here we are. And we've got that lovely planting that's standing around that area there. And there now, I'm going to paint in some other little sections that require some slightly darker colour, green, and that's, I don't know whether it's a bench there or whether it's just a piece of lattice work, I'm not really sure, but I'm depicting that as a bench. And this also is a, I think it's all green, yeah, it's pretty much all green. A little building that they use, I think, for their barbecues or whatever during the summer months, and that needs to be painted in like that. The sections on it, I'll show those with shadow shortly. There we go. So that's a little shed outside. And oh yes, must remember a little bit of shadow work on the buildings in the background. Need to paint that in, before we forget. Don't be quite so dark with this. A bit less intensity of colour. Shadow there on the overhang and there. Yep, that's all much of a muchness really. Looking good. Let's just see what we've got. And all that really remains is one or two little finishing touches. Of course, as you all know, I need to have my foreground shadow from something out of picture, as you know. And I always end up putting that in there and softening like that. It just brings that whole thing to life. Just one or two little gravelly bits now, this side. A little bit behind there, just take that white away. There's just some brown here that I've not put in for the sections there. That's better. Because it's in shadow. Little touches there. Benches and what have you. Try and get rid of too much light there. That's good. And then we need to paint in any parasol shapes that are formed on the wall. Like that. The sun, and that could go around the figure. And another one somewhere there. There we are. That's the parasol shapes. Yeah. Oh, and this one would cast some sort of shadow on here. So that's interesting. And then another shadow then, as I promised, for there. Sections within that. Section there, section there. Just a couple of bits there. And to be fair about it, I think we really should soon be looking at saying, well, that's pretty much good enough. Just want to put the gutter in again, just with a little bit darker colour. Because it's always important. I like that real dark touch of colour for the gutter. Makes all the difference. There we are. Bring that right to the end. And the downpipe is just shaded. That's perfect. Okay, let's take the surround away and sign it up. And I'm going to sign that in the paint that I used. Use blue this time. In the bottom right hand corner, just feel that seems to be a good place to sign it. In my normal signature with a brush, in the colour that I've used. And there we have it, the Rose and Crown Harpley here in Norfolk. Drawn on site with an ink pen and finished off back at my accommodation with colour. Well, there you have it, the Rose and Crown at Harpley, painted in my accommodation when I returned home, but the initial drawing was made on site in the lovely village of Harpley. We had a lovely lunch there, and it's well worth a visit if you're in the Norfolk area, North Norfolk, just off the A148. Hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Colinsteedart on YouTube, and watch how I paint this and many other subjects. See you very soon. Thank you for watching.